She had exactly $20 left. Not $20 spare, $20 total. Her electricity was being cut off in 48 hours. Her daughter hadn't eaten a proper meal in 3 days, and every single person walking past the man on the ground that morning had made the logical choice, the smart choice, the survival choice. Then Sophia McLeod stopped, and in 30 seconds, with one crumpled bill, she accidentally changed both their lives forever. Because the man shivering on that sidewalk, he was worth $14 billion. And what happened next will make you rethink everything you believe about luck, kindness, and who actually deserves a second chance. And here is a slogan. Repeat this line and drop in the comments. It's the heartbeat of the story. Kindness never checks a bank balance, and it begins with $20. September 14th, 6:43 a.m. The kind of morning Seattle wears like a second skin. Gray, wet, relentless. Sophia McLeod stood at the Pinehurst bus stop, her jacket held over her daughter's head like a shield. The umbrella at her feet, broken in 3 places, had given up the fight against the wind 10 minutes earlier. Sophia was 32 years old, black, single mother, night shift janitor at Riverside Assisted Living, and at that exact moment, she had $23.14 to her name, $20 in her wallet, $3.14 in change at the bottom of her purse. The 20 was supposed to cover Amara's lunch account for the week. The change was bus fare. She checked her phone. The electric company's final notice glowed accusingly. Service disconnection in 48 hours. Amount due, $347. That's when she noticed him. Jin-Hwan Park. Though she didn't know his name yet. Didn't know that 5 years ago, he'd been featured in Forbes as one of tech's most innovative minds. Didn't know that the company he founded manufactured the semiconductors in her phone, her daughter's school computer, the medical equipment at her workplace. All she knew was that he was shivering, that his cough sounded like it came from somewhere deep and broken, that people had been stepping over him for the past hour like he was part of the pavement. Mama, that man is really cold. Amara was 7, old enough to notice suffering, young enough to still believe adults could fix it. Sophia looked at her daughter, looked at the man, looked at her wallet. And here's what most people don't understand about poverty. It's not just about having nothing. It's about the mathematics of impossible choices. It's knowing that helping someone else means your lights go dark. That mercy has a price tag, and you're the one who pays it. $20. A loaf of bread costs $4. A gallon of milk, $3.50. Bus fare for the week, $12. School lunch, $5 per day. Every dollar has a job. Every dollar is already spent before you earn it. But Sophia McLeod didn't become the person she is by doing the easy math. She walked over. The man looked up, defensive, expecting accusation or worse, pity. "Excuse me, sir. There's a diner across the street. Opens in 10 minutes. This should get you breakfast and coffee. Something warm." She extended the 20. Jin-Hwan Park, who'd once negotiated billion-dollar contracts, who'd shaken hands with presidents and tech titans, stared at the crumpled bill like he'd never seen money before. "You don't look like you can afford this," he said. And Sophia gave him an answer that would change both their lives. "I can't, but you need it more." Here's what happened in that moment that you need to understand. Sophia McLeod made a choice that violated every survival instinct. Her daughter would go hungry. Her lights would stay off longer. Her margin for error, already razor-thin, disappeared completely. But she looked at Jin-Hwan Park and saw what everyone else had stopped seeing. A human being. Not a problem. Not a statistic. Not an inconvenience. A person. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sophia. Sophia McLeod." He repeated it slowly, like a prayer. "I will remember that name. Forever." She grabbed Amara's hand and ran. On the bus, her daughter asked the question that revealed how much she understood. "Mama, was that your electric money?" Sophia stared out the rain-streaked window. "We'll figure it out, baby." "You always say that." "Because we always do." But this time, Sophia wasn't sure. This time, the math didn't just not work. It had catastrophically failed. Riverside assisted living smelled like industrial cleaner and dignified decay. Sophia arrived 14 minutes late. The bus had been delayed by flooding, and found her supervisor, Beverly Pritchard, waiting. Beverly was the kind of person who mistakes cruelty for professionalism, who thinks managing means controlling, who measures worth by punctuality and compliance. "My office, now." "Fourth time this month you've been late." Sophia tried to explain. The rain, the bus, the routes. Beverly slid a form across the desk. Written warning. One more incident, any incident, and termination. No severance, no references. But here's the detail that mattered. As Sophia stood there, hands steady despite everything, Beverly said something that revealed more about herself than about Sophia. "My mother was a maid too. She taught me something important. Know your place." Know your place. As if dignity was determined by job title. As if worth was measured by wages. As if the woman who cleaned the toilets couldn't possibly have wisdom, couldn't possibly matter, couldn't possibly be more than her uniform. Sophia signed the form without shaking. Then she went to the third-floor bathroom and scrubbed tiles until her knees ached and her hands were raw. And she cried. Quietly. Privately. The way you cry when you can't afford to fall apart. The apartment was 400 square feet. One room. Mattress on the floor. Hot plate instead of stove. But Amara's drawings covered every wall. Explosions of color that transformed poverty into possibility. That night, they ate rice and beans. Again. "My friend Kelsey says her mom makes different dinners every night," Amara mentioned. Sophia stopped stirring, crouched down, made her daughter look at her. "Right now, we're in a tight spot. But tight spots don't last forever. We're not going to have rice and beans forever. We're not going to live in this apartment forever. But right now, this is what we have, and we're grateful for it." "Okay, Mama." "What do we say in this house?" Amara recited the words they'd made their mantra. "Our situation is temporary. Our spirit is permanent." The call came at 8:15 p.m. Unknown number. The voice on the other end spoke precise English with a Korean accent. "Is this Sophia McLeod?" "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Jin-Hwan Park. I'm calling on behalf of my brother, Jin-Hwan Park, the man you helped at the bus stop." Sophia's chest tightened. "Is he all right?" "He's fine. Better than fine. He'd like to meet you tomorrow, to thank you properly." She almost said no. She didn't need thanks, didn't want recognition, had already forgotten the act the moment the bus pulled away. But something in Min-Jun's voice, urgency perhaps, or hope, made her agree. "Meridian Coffee, noon tomorrow. It will only take 30 minutes. Meridian Coffee was the kind of place Sophia had never entered. $12 lattes, customers in business suits negotiating deals on laptops, art on the walls that cost more than her monthly rent. She walked in wearing her work scrubs. People stared. Jin-Hwan Park sat in the corner, and Sophia almost didn't recognize him. Clean, groomed, wearing clothes that whispered money rather than screamed it. Next to him sat a man who looked like he'd been born in a boardroom. Min-Jun Park. "Sophia," Jin-Hwan stood. "Thank you for coming. You look different." "I am different, because of you." And then Jin-Hwan Park told her a story that sounded like fiction. 5 years ago, he'd founded Hansol Technologies, semiconductor manufacturing equipment. Within a decade, the company controlled 60% of the global market. Valuation, $14 billion. But success bred arrogance. He expanded too fast, ignored advisors, made catastrophic decisions driven by ego rather than wisdom. The board voted him out. Investors sued. His wife left. His reputation, the thing he'd built his identity around, crumbled. Depression followed, the kind that makes you invisible to yourself, the kind that makes disappearing feel like mercy. For 3 months, he lived on Seattle's streets, hoping someone would recognize him, hoping no one would, wanting simultaneously to be saved and to vanish completely. In 90 days, 4 people helped him. 4 out of thousands. Sophia was one of them. The only one who gave money she couldn't afford to lose. "We made inquiries," Min-jun said, discreetly. Sophia stood. "You investigated me?" "We needed to understand who would sacrifice their family's electricity for a stranger." Jin-Hwan opened a folder. Inside, everything. Her employment record, her bank statements, her eviction notices, her daughter's subsidized lunch status, her criminal record, shoplifting charge from 8 years ago when she'd stolen diapers because Amara had a rash and the water was being shut off. Sophia's face hardened. "Is there a point to this humiliation?" "The point," Jin-Hwan said quietly, "is that I'm offering you a job." Here's what Sophia heard. Charity. Pity. The wealthy man throwing coins at the poor woman who'd been kind to him. Here's what Jin-Hwan was actually offering. Revolution. 6 months earlier, he'd regained control of Hansol. The board had realized their mistake. He was rebuilding, but this time differently. This time with people who understood that business isn't just about profit, it's about impact. He was creating a new division, community relations and corporate responsibility. Not the performative kind that writes checks for tax deductions, the real kind, the kind that sees people. He wanted Sophia to lead it. Director-level position, $90,000 salary, full benefits, housing stipend, educational assistance for Amara. "This is insane," Sophia said. "I clean toilets for a living." "And you have a 7th grade education and a criminal record," Min-jun added. "We know." "Then you know I'm not qualified." Jin-Hwan leaned forward. "You made a decision at that bus stop that contradicts every principle of self-preservation. You chose compassion over survival. That's not a skill you learn in business school, Sophia. That's character. And character can't be taught." Sophia took the contract home, spread it on her kitchen table, stared at it like it was a foreign language. She called her mother, explained everything. "And you're calling me because you think it's a trick," her mother said. "Things like this don't happen to people like me." "Why not?" "Because I'm not special." Sophia Marie McLeod, you raised a brilliant daughter alone. You work 3 jobs. You volunteer at the community center. You give away money you don't have to strangers. Baby, you think you're not special because the world told you you're not. But the world is wrong. I'm scared, Mama. Fear is just faith in the wrong outcome. Have faith in yourself. Take the job. Hansol Technologies occupied floors 15 through 22 of a downtown tower. Glass, steel, views of Elliott Bay that made Sophia dizzy. Her first day, she wore a blazer from Goodwill and shoes she'd resold herself. She walked into orientation and felt every eye dissect her. 20 new hires, all with degrees from Stanford, MIT, Princeton, all wearing confidence like cologne. Whispers followed her to her seat. "Who's that?" "Diversity hire." "My dad's on the board. This is ridiculous." Jin-Hwan entered with his executive team. He didn't waste time. "Several of you have questioned Sophia McLeod's presence. Let me address that directly." The room went silent. 4 days ago, I was homeless, broken, invisible. Hundreds of people passed me. Successful, educated people with credentials and connections. Every one of them looked through me like glass. And then Sophia stopped. She had $20, her last $20, and she gave it to me. He walked behind Sophia's chair. "The rest of you have impressive resumes, and I'm glad you're here. But Sophia has something your credentials can't measure. She sees past surfaces. She sees people. And in business, understanding human need is more valuable than any MBA." A young executive stood. "With respect, is one act of kindness really qualification to run a division?" Jin-Hwan's response was surgical. "While you were studying, Sophia was working 60-hour weeks and still volunteering at homeless shelters. While you were networking, she was donating plasma to pay for her daughter's school supplies. Tell me, when did you last sacrifice something essential for someone you didn't know?" The executive sat down, face burning. Here's what that moment taught everyone in the room. Competence takes many forms. Intelligence isn't just analytical, it's emotional. And sometimes the person who understands poverty better than anyone understands people better than anyone. Sophia's first assignment: audit Han Sol's current community programs and submit improvement recommendations. She dove in. Late nights, early mornings, learning corporate software while her daughter slept, reading annual reports on the bus, making herself fluent in a language she'd never spoken. 2 weeks later, she presented her findings. The senior leadership team sat across from her: Jin-Hwan, Min-Jun, and Devin Castellan, a man who looked at Sophia like she was a stain on his spreadsheet. "So, Ms. McLeod," Devin said with barely concealed contempt, "what have you learned?" Sophia didn't flinch. That our community programs are performative, inefficient, and sometimes actively harmful. Devin's eyebrows shot up. Jin-Hwan leaned forward, intrigued. She laid it out methodically. $2 million donated annually. 80% lost to administrative overhead. Only $400,000 reaching actual people. Their laptop donation program? 7-year-old machines with obsolete software that broke within months. Schools got e-waste they couldn't afford to dispose of. Han Sol got tax write-offs and press releases. Their scholarship program? Required a 3.8 GPA and SAT scores most underfunded schools couldn't help students achieve. Last year, 3 scholarships awarded from a $14 billion company. These programs were designed by professionals with decades of experience, Devin protested. Professionals who've never been poor, Sophia replied. You want to know what actually helps? $50 for work boots. $200 for car repairs so someone doesn't lose their job. $75 for a field trip so a kid doesn't feel left out. Small amounts. Direct distribution. No bureaucracy. This is naive. No. What's naive is spending millions to look generous while actually being stingy. You're buying a reputation for caring while not caring. That's not just bad charity. That's bad business. Jin-Hwan asked the question that mattered. How much would your approach cost? First year, $4 million. We'd need community liaisons with lived experience, infrastructure, trust building. But once established, costs drop significantly, and actual impact multiplies. Devin was apoplectic. You're going to let someone with no corporate experience dismantle programs that took years to build? Jin-Hwan's answer was simple. Yes. She has 6 months to prove it works. What happened next was something Han Sol's previous community programs had never achieved: actual change. Sophia built a team of people who understood struggle because they'd lived it. Former homeless individuals, single parents, people with criminal records and GED diplomas and life experience that no university could teach. They created a direct assistance fund. Simple application. Minimal bureaucracy. 48-hour turnaround. Marcus Chen needed $50 for work boots. They gave it to him. He got the job. 6 months later, he'd been promoted twice and no longer needed assistance. Yolanda Harris needed $80 for her son's asthma medication. They paid it. He stopped missing school. His grades improved. He made honor roll. Patricia Morris needed $200 for her electrician certification exam. They covered it. She passed. Now she makes $42 an hour. Small amounts. Massive impact. But not everyone appreciated what Sophia was building. 3 months in, she received a call from an angry ex-husband. They'd given his former wife $300 for rent assistance. He was furious. If she was homeless, he'd get custody of their kids. "You're interfering with a custody arrangement," he screamed. "I'm calling my lawyer." Sophia reported the threat to Jin-Hwan. His response revealed everything about why he'd hired her. The moment we start investigating people's personal lives before helping them, we become exactly what you said we shouldn't be: bureaucratic, judgmental, and useless. Sometimes helping people makes other people angry. That's not your failure. That's proof you're actually helping. 6 months later, Devin Castellan demanded an emergency board meeting. In 6 months, We faced 3 litigation threats, negative press, and countless complaints about our reckless grant distribution. I recommend we return to traditional programs. Then Sophia presented her data. 217 grants distributed. Average amount, $347. Total, $75,299. Impact, 14 families avoided eviction. 23 people kept their jobs. 31 children received delayed medical care. Traditional charity model cost per impact, $4,000. Sophia's model cost per impact, $347. But she didn't stop with numbers. She showed faces, told stories, made the board see people instead of statistics. One board member remained skeptical. You can't build a corporate program on feelings. Jin-Hwan stood. The question isn't whether this works. It clearly does. The question is whether this company has the courage to continue it despite criticism. The vote passed 7-2. Devin abstained. But 3 months later, after watching Sophia's program transform lives while his traditional methods gathered dust, he did something remarkable. He apologized. At the 1-year anniversary press conference, Devin Castellan stood before reporters and said words that cost him pride, but bought him integrity. I was wrong. I thought Sophia McLeod was naive. I thought her methods were unbusinesslike. But her program has better outcomes, lower overhead, and more community trust than anything I designed in 20 years. Sometimes the best expertise isn't what you learn in business school. It's what you learn from living. Here's what Sophia understood that most people miss. Redemption isn't about never making mistakes. It's about having the courage to admit them. Devin didn't become her ally because she defeated him. He became her ally because she created space for him to be wrong and still be valuable. That's leadership. 18 months after giving away her last $20, Sophia McLeod stood in front of a brand new community center funded by the Hansol Foundation. Inside, job training, childcare, medical services, legal aid, financial counseling. All free, all accessible, all designed by the people who'd use them. She cut the ribbon alongside her daughter Amara, now 8 years old, and beginning to understand that her mother wasn't just her mother. She was becoming something larger. At the microphone, Sophia said words that would be quoted in business schools and social work programs for years to come. This center represents a simple idea. Everyone deserves access to opportunity. But I want to tell you how this started. 2 years ago, I had $20. I saw a man who needed help. I had a choice: keep my money and let him suffer, or give it away and trust that somehow everything would be okay. I chose trust. That choice changed my life. But the real gift wasn't the money or the job. The real gift was remembering that we're all connected. Your struggle is my struggle. Your hope is my hope. She looked at Amara. My daughter asked me once why I help people. I told her, being kind isn't about what you get back. It's about who you are. Today, I'm asking all of you, who are you? And who do you want to be? Inside the center, a young mother approached Sophia. She was carrying a baby, eyes bright. Ms. McLeod, I wanted to thank you. You paid for my nursing certification exam last month. Did you pass? The woman beamed. I start at Mercy Hospital next week, and I'm going to pay it forward. Soon as I'm stable, I'm helping someone else. That's all I ask. That night, Jin-Hwan gave Sophia an envelope. Inside, a deed to the house she'd been renting. Paid in full. Her name on the title. I can't accept this. It's not charity. It's investment. You invested $20 in me. I'm investing in your future. They stood there, two people who'd saved each other, neither willing to take credit, both understanding that some debts can never be repaid because they were never transactions in the first place. They were gifts. 2 years after the community center opened, Sophia McLeod received the Grayson Humanitarian Award. She stood on stage in front of hundreds of people, corporate leaders, politicians, activists, academics, and told them the truth. 4 years ago, I was a janitor with $7 in my checking account. The distance between that moment and this one isn't luck. It's people. People who saw potential I didn't see. People who believed in kindness when the world said it was naive. She found Jin-Hwan in the audience. This award doesn't belong to me. It belongs to every person who chose mercy over judgment. Every person who helped a stranger. Every person who gave their last dollar because someone else needed it more. The woman at the grocery store who let me pay in change. The bus driver who waited an extra 30 seconds. The teacher who bought my daughter school supplies. The man at the bus stop who turned my $20 into a future I never dreamed possible. Her voice broke. We're living in hard times. It's easy to be cynical. To think, what difference can I make? But I'm proof that small acts create massive change. That $20 and 30 seconds of human decency can alter the course of a life. She held up the award. Don't wait until you're rich to be generous. Don't wait until you're powerful to be kind. Don't wait until you have enough, because you'll never have enough. Give now. Give what you have. Give who you are. The smallest mercy is the one that costs you everything. And it's worth it. Every single time. 5 years after that morning at the bus stop, Sophia McLeod walked past the same shelter where she'd met Jin-Hwan Park. It was raining. Of course it was raining. A homeless woman sat against the wall, shivering. Amara, now 13, looked at her mother. Sophia nodded. Amara approached the woman, umbrella in hand. "Excuse me, ma'am. Would you like to share my umbrella?" The woman looked up, stunned. Amara smiled, held the umbrella over both of them. Sophia watched her daughter, this brilliant, compassionate human she'd raised in poverty and fear and hope, and understood something profound. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you pass forward. The Hansol Foundation now operates in 43 cities. It's helped over 15,000 families, distributed over $8 million in direct assistance, achieved a 97% success rate, meaning 97% of recipients either achieved stable employment or housing within 6 months. But those numbers don't tell the real story. The real story is Marcus, who needed $50 and now mentors other men trying to get back on their feet. The real story is Yolanda, whose son's asthma is controlled, and who volunteers at the community center teaching other mothers about healthcare navigation. The real story is Patricia, who not only became an electrician, but started a program training other women in skilled trades. The real story is that every person helped becomes a helper. Every mercy received becomes a mercy given. Every dollar invested multiplies into dignity, into opportunity, into hope. And the real story is this: somewhere, right now, someone is standing at a metaphorical bus stop. They have their last $20. They're choosing between their own survival and someone else's suffering. And what they don't know, what they can't possibly know, is that their choice matters. Not because it might lead to a job or recognition or reward, but because mercy is never wasted, kindness is never foolish, and the smallest act, done without expectation, can echo through time in ways we'll never fully understand. Sophia McLeod gave away $20. She received a future. But more importantly, she proved something the world desperately needs to believe: that goodness isn't transactional, but it is transformational. That you don't need wealth to create change, you just need to see the person in front of you. That the most powerful force in the world isn't money or influence or power. It's a human being who chooses compassion when it costs them everything. So here's the question this story asks you. What's your $20? What small mercy are you withholding because it feels too expensive, too risky, too inconvenient? What person are you walking past because helping them would disrupt your comfort? What choice are you avoiding because you can't see how it could possibly matter? The answer matters, not just for them, for you. Because here's what Sophia learned, and what Jin-Hwan discovered, and what every person in this story ultimately understood. We don't help people because we're good. We help people because it makes us good. We don't show mercy because they deserve it. We show mercy because we need to be merciful. We don't give because we have enough. We give because giving is how we become enough. The smallest mercy is the one that costs you everything. It's also the one that returns everything. Not always in the form you expect, not always when you need it, but always, eventually, in the form that matters most. Meaning, connection, purpose, love. Sophia McLeod still rides the bus sometimes, even though she can afford a car. She still eats rice and beans occasionally, even though her refrigerator is full. She still remembers what it felt like to have nothing, even though she now has enough. Because she understands something most people spend their whole lives trying to learn. Your value isn't determined by what you have. It's determined by what you give. And the moments that define you aren't the ones where you succeed. They're the ones where you choose who you'll be when success seems impossible. At that bus stop, in the rain, with her last $20, Sophia McLeod chose mercy. And mercy chose her right back. The smallest mercy is the one that costs you everything. Give the little you have. Trust the world to give it back. Because kindness never checks a bank balance. And here is the moral lessons of this story. Character over credentials. Sophia's lived experience proved more valuable than traditional qualifications. Small acts, massive ripples. $20 created a foundation helping 15,000 families. Poverty doesn't diminish dignity. Sophia maintained her integrity despite desperate circumstances. Real change requires seeing people. Jin-Hwan's transformation came from being truly seen. Redemption is always possible. Both Jin-Hwan and Devon found second chances. Generosity isn't about abundance. You don't need wealth to be generous. Legacy is what you pass forward. Amara learning to give demonstrates lasting impact. Systems matter. Sophia didn't just help individuals. She changed institutional approaches. Courage means acting despite fear. Every major choice Sophia made terrified her. The smallest mercy costs everything and returns everything. The central truth: giving transforms both giver and receiver. If any single moment in this story moved you, if something here stayed with you past the point where most things do, please hit the like button. It communicates to YouTube that this story matters enough to share, and it puts it in front of someone out there who needs to hear it today. Subscribe if you have not already done so, because I have more stories coming. Thanks for watching. Drop it below. I read every single comment, without exception. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for caring about these characters as genuinely as I do. I will see you in the very next one.